Greetings, salutations. Hi, this is 1SP. I'm back again with another one. Oh my God. Oh man, it feels good to be back. Hey, um, quick, quick and fast. I just want to say, guys, congratulations. You guys have went out there. Um, all my fellow Americans have went out there and made your voices heard, and you guys voted. Whether the candidate that you voted for or not has been elected for president, senator, and of course your state level and municipal level and all of those various entities of voting. I know here in Florida we had another. I know here in Florida we had two different amendments that needed to get voted on, making recreational marijuana legal, and we also had another amendment um, on making um, outlawing to uh, actually give the decision back to women voters about their choice of getting an abortion or not. Um, sadly, sadly, um, sadly, I think for me, I'm very so more into the notion that a woman should be able to command her body the way she so feels, as long as it's not abusive. A lot of times, you know, I'm very I'm very pro-choice when it comes to that, as long as it's not abusive. What I mean by that, um, getting I think the notion of getting five abortions is obsessive, but one, two, may not be bad, but five or six is obsessive. So because that can ruin your body. I'm not a woman. Maybe women can. Maybe women can get like five or six abortions and still be able to have healthy babies naturally. Maybe they can afterwards. But from the experience of the women that I know, in family and out of family, um, that have experienced abortions, that it is hard to have children after having multiple abortions. So um that's how I am. But I'm still pro-choice as long as it's not excessive. um as far as legalizing marijuana, I'm not a user myself, but I do know that there are a great deal of other things that are legal. There are a great deal of things that are legal, that like alcohol for one, and I don't drink either, but alcohol for one, that is legal, and that can cause illness to a person, that can impair their thoughts. You know, Alcohol is legal, so I'm like, why not? Make uh, marijuana legal. You know, just at the level that you still could get DUI with it. So that in that sense, it would be illegal. You still could get DUI with it. You still can um, get fired from a drug, get fired from a job if they do a drug screening. You still could get, those things. You still could, be reprimanded, in athletics. You still could be reprimanded in athletics, reprimanded in employment. If they do a drug screening, you still have it in your system. So those things, I think that still should stand. But as far as recreational, it's your day off. Everything, and you just want to have a smoke, then I mean, go ahead. I think that it should be legal in that sense. It should be legal in that sense. If that's your go-to, like alcohol is what you use. If you want to drink some wine on your day off, or just unwind, and I think like uh, smoking marijuana. If you want to smoke marijuana, it's your day off to unwind, then go ahead. So um, like I said, I've never used marijuana in my life, never drunk alcohol in my life, but I have been around people that have used it in the military, out the military, alcohol and marijuana. So um, and I have seen the toll that alcohol brings on people versus what marijuana brings on people, and I must say that people still function better with marijuana than they do with alcohol. So I'm just saying, So, but yes. So back to what I was. So yes, yeah. Unfortunately, in Florida, that marijuana is not recreational marijuana is not legal. I believe it was 55. I believe it was 55%. More than half of the state was in favor of it, but it has to be 60% to make it, legal. It has to be 60% to make it legal. And I believe that more than half of the state was also in favor of the giving power back to the woman as far as abortion goes, giving back the power back to a woman as far as abortion goes in Florida. But like I said, it also has to be 60%. So if it's not 60%, then it's not the new. It's not the new. It's not in favor of it. They won't pass it. So we got a lot of we got a lot of work to do. In the actual peninsula, because the peninsula was like in favor of all of this. So we got a lot of work to do in the peninsula. And it seemed like the panhandle is like more like the side that's not in favor of it. The panhandle, the panhandle is also the side that's suffering from like the devastation of hurricanes. They also, that we have in the peninsula. I admit we have in the peninsula, but they deal with a lot of flooding. They deal with a lot of flooding year round in the panhandle. They deal with a lot of unemployment, way more unemployment than we do in the peninsula. So I think that all of that plays a toll as well. All of that plays a toll as well, and getting things voted for. So, but we have to move forward. As a state and as a nation, we have to move forward. I'm glad that everyone did go out and vote. I'm glad that everyone did. Everyone that wanted to vote did vote, and everyone that wanted to exercise their freedom not to vote did not vote. But still registered. So I'm glad that all of that, and everyone that wanted to cast empty ballot cast an empty ballot. So I'm glad that all of that was done. I'm glad that Florida had a great turnaround from 2022, and registered voters. We had a great turnaround, and registered voters, whether they voted or not, we had more registered voters than we did previously. So I'm glad that we had a great turnaround in that. Now, what lies ahead is that we have a new president elect. We have a new president elect, and we also have a U.S. senator. A U.S. senator that has been U.S. senator for a while. Also, he has been a previous governor. So He also been a previous governor of Florida. What we do in 2026, as far as voting for a new governor, the ballots are widespread and everything. We got also Florida also got we also got Gates up there in the White House as well. So that's another thing for Florida that's really standing out. We got Gates up there, uh, even though where I live in South Florida, they don't like Gates. I must say that that's also another person that got from Florida that got their footprint in DC. That's another person in Florida that got their footprint in DC. So I'm kind of proud of that. Just the footprint being in DC. I'm proud of that. And like I said, we also got Rick Scott. I know a lot of people. You know, I know a lot of people in my area don't like Rick Scott, but just the mere fact that he's still like standing, in DC as a U.S. senator, it's beyond incredible. Just that fact, whether you feel his policies don't help or help, whatever the case may be, it's still Florida making a stand. It's still Florida making history all over again. So, we have to look at that. Florida is making a history. Florida is making history, and we have to continue moving forward. Now, as far as like a lot of people saying, 1SP, what do you think about the electoral college? What do you think about the electoral college? And I honestly, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but I feel that when they select these delegates, they need to select, independents, and they also need to select, representation for independents and representation for non-party as well, because it's not a fair landscape for all. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be all, but it has to be representation for the ones that are not Democrat and Republican. It's not representation for the few, or if possibly in the next 10-15 years, it's not representation for independents or non-parties in the electoral college. We need to select delegates in that area as well. Or one day it may be a landslide where an independent take all those electoral votes, and if that happens, then you're gonna have to get rid of it anyway, because the independent gonna want to get rid of the whole entire electoral college. If they do win, let's say, the highest office in the land, which is president, they're gonna want to abolish the electoral college. Even if they won by the electoral college, they're gonna want to abolish it, because it took that long for independents to get there, and they want to open the door for future independents or future non-party or future libertarians and stuff like that. They want to open the door for that third party to get in there. They want to open that door. So, I'm saying, if they have representation before that time comes, then they won't have to abolish it. So it's so many, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, there's no way an independent gonna win. There's no way an independent or non-party or anybody from, like, that's not Democrat or Republican gonna win president, the highest office in the land. And you say that now, but think about it 15 years from now. A lot of them, a lot of diehard Democrats voted Republican, and a lot of Republicans didn't vote. So, you have to look at those numbers as well. I'm not trying to take, away from anything. I'm not trying to, remove anything from anybody. All I'm just saying is that a lot of that, did happen. Um, let me see. Anybody talking? Anybody talking? Anybody talking? Let's see. My comments. My comments. My comments. I don't see no comments. Ain't nobody commenting. I don't see no comments. Oh well. All right. But yeah, that's what happened. So, but yeah, I think one day that the electoral college, because like most states don't even use most countries don't even use electoral college. Most nations just go by the popular vote, and it's been plenty of times where the popular vote, did not win. The popular vote didn't win. It was electoral college that decide. So I mean, but you know the president-elect had both the popular vote and the electoral college. So, I mean, it is what it is. We need to, we need to, um, we need to move forward, and we need to, think about other things. I know. Previously, I mentioned things about um, what was it? Well, I'll bring that up later. I'll bring that up later. But I'm glad to be here, guys. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be talking to everyone here. I don't see no comments. Why I don't see any comments? Oh well, I don't see any comments at all. Not one. God is still good either way. God is still good either way. As long as I'm here, that's all. That's all that matters. As long as you here, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, was P. I know a lot of relatives of my family gonna be mad about what I said about you know marijuana. I I really don't care if it's. I really don't. It really doesn't bother me if it's legal because I don't smoke. And I'm not. I'm not really bothered by. You know, I'm not really bothered by. People that do smoke it. So I really don't. It should be legal. Like, I mean, then like most of the commercials say, focus on the real crimes. Focus on, you know, like stuff that need to be focused on, like 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 restructuring, um, restructuring, um, police reform. Like focus on that. Focus on police reform. Focus on you know um, real crimes like police brutality. That's a crime in itself. So focus on that. Focus on, and I'm not saying police brutality is the only crime that goes under the rug most of the time, because there's also crimes that go under the rug, like for instance, for instance, voter fraud that goes under the rug. And Florida has a history of suppressing votes. Long time ago. Not now, but a long time ago. Florida had a history of suppressing votes. And everything. There was a time, in the South where blacks couldn't vote unless they were voting Democrat. So that really happened. Long time ago. Like you couldn't vote unless you were voting Democrat. You couldn't vote Republican. You had to vote Democrat down the whole list in order to vote. So that was really, one of those. That was really one of those like things that voter suppression did. So though it used to be like it used to be sundowns. It used to be like sundown towns in Florida. It used to be sundown towns. Now most of those sundown towns are like ghost towns. But it used to be like sundown towns in Florida. A lot of times it used to be where if you were in like certain communities, you know after like 7 or 8 o'clock, Like they could like lock you up, and a mob would be waiting outside just to like cause you harm or death. So a lot of times like those things are not being like really looked. Those things are not being really looked at. Anymore. Those things are not, because it's a lot of people that did, go through that. It's a lot of people that did, wind up surviving, those sundown towns, and like those people were traumatized, and it's some that died from it, and their family didn't get justice. You know, um, it's a lot of things in Florida that needs to be, focused on besides marijuana. So like those things like need to be, addressed. Those things need to, we need to put our efforts into that. Think about this. Everyone knows the whole story about Rosewood, how this young lady said this young Floridian lady um, of Irish descent, I think, I could be wrong, allegedly, of Irish descent, allegedly said that she was raped by an African American man, and they never found the African American man, but a whole entire family, almost to the very end, except for the young kids that they got out of there. But almost all the adults in the family were killed. Almost all the adults in this African American family were killed. So, we need to focus on all of those things. And the survivors of Rosewood and the ones that died from Rosewood only got one day of celebration when this whole thing lasts for over a week. They only got one day of commemorations. One day of commemorations. So, in Florida, one day. And I wrote about that in one of my poems. One of my poems, I think it's called "This Story Gets Good." So I wrote it in that. I wrote about it in in that poem. It's in my third book, but I'm not trying to, like put a plug out there for the book. I'm just saying that there's more important things to focus on. With just recently, I think no longer than like what 2019 or 2020, we had a man hanging by a tree in Orlando or near Orlando, the Orange County area. We had a young man hanging by the tree there, and everyone ruled it a suicide. Things like that need to be, extensively investigated. An African American man shouldn't be hanging from a tree. And how did he get up there in the tree? How did he get up there in the tree? If he did it by himself, how did he get up there in the tree? Who tied the noose for him? Where's the chair? Where's the ladder? How did he get up there? Those things need to be looked at and examined. Other than marijuana. So I really believe that we have a lot of things to focus on. Well, I can't believe that I'm already talking about all of this. I can't believe I'm already talking about all this. But yes, it's a lot of things that happen in Florida. I used to read about a lot of things when I was in the military. I used to read about it. Like the more I learned about the history of my state, and the more I learned about Miami and stuff like that, I learned a vast array of history when I left. About where I'm from. I learned a lot of stuff when I left because a lot of people are fascinated with Florida and fascinated with Miami. The first thing they think when you say you're from Florida, they think about alligators. I'm being serious. They think about alligators. But when you say you're from Miami, they don't. Alligators go out the window. They think beaches. So And then when I say I'm from, you know, across the bridge, then they're like, what's that like? You know, so and you know, I I I didn't live like I was more into my books. You know, I've been writing poetry for a while, so I was more into my books and everything. And while I was like reading about the rest of the world while I was in Miami, you know, I wasn't reading about Miami while I was in Miami. So when I went and traveled the rest of the world, I wanted to read about Miami, and that way I could explain, you know, more about, you know, where I'm from, you know, how, you know, Joseph Caleb and how he was a union worker and everything, and how he, you know, made sure that there were fair wages for men and women of all races and stuff like that. But yet and still that man was like killed like in front of um a home of a woman that he was, you know, allegedly, you know, sleeping with. But I don't know if that's the case. Whatever the case may be, he was still killed. He was murdered, you know. So, and stuff like that. Or Arthur McDuffie, a veteran. Happy belated Veterans Day to all the veterans that are here or will be here or listening later on in the replay. Happy belated Veterans Day to you. But Arthur McDuffie, a veteran that had suspended license, you know, that was driving a moped, insurance salesman, and he got killed just because he has suspended license, you know, like, and the officers that killed him, all the officers that killed him were acquitted, you know. So you know, these are the history things about where I'm from, you know, like a lot of, you know, people, a lot of great, strong African American people where I'm from were killed. You know, every time, you know, Miami had like a promising, you know, African American figure, they all were killed. You know, so but yeah, Arthur McDuffie was killed. Joseph Caleb was killed. It's a whole list of people that tried to make a difference that were killed here in Miami. You know, African Americans, and of course, you know about the mayor of Chicago that was killed on Bayside. You know about that. The whole world knows about that. But you know, on the other side of the bridge, these are things that had taken place. Um, we had promising figures like Carrie Meek that lived this see old age, and Kendrick Meek, her son, and everything, and how Kendrick Meek went up to Jeb Bush and did a sit-in in the, you know, I mean, like it was things like that. And why Kendrick Meek just vanished off the face of the planet, I don't know. Like the man, he didn't make Senate, and he just gave. I don't know. It looked like he threw in the towel, you know. But you know, I used to correspond with his son on Facebook, Kendrick Meek Jr. I used to correspond with him on Facebook for a while I was in the military. Yeah, I did. While I was in the military and stuff like that, and you know the respect that I got as like a soldier in the military from just off of corresponding with him on Facebook was amazing. You know, and it was incredible that you know I had the opportunity, you know, in the beginning of my career, just to talk to someone from the Meek family, you know, Meek's family, like in the beginning of my military career, because you know it I guess it propelled me to like keep going. And even when I got in Afghanistan, you know, I felt like my community was behind me. So yeah. So if this somehow get to Kendrick Meek Jr., you know, thank you. And if it get to Kendrick Meek Sr., hey man, I don't know what happened, but you know, I still got a Kendrick meet for Santa's shirt. So I still got the shirt. It's in storage, so but I still got the shirt. Um, what else? Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm basically done right now. I guess I'll come back on another time. But thank you guys for listening to me. Talk a little bit of politics. Oh yeah, I also wrote a poem for Kendrick Meeks. Let Kendrick speak. But that was not. I mean, I wrote that like long time ago, but that was not released until my second book. It was not released until my second book. It's a lot of things. But you could find it somewhere on the internet. Let Kendrick speak. You could find that somewhere on the internet. I mean, it's like on like various like websites because it's like an old poem, so it's like on various websites. But yeah, I got a lot of I got a lot of stuff. I don't know. Guys, this is 1SP. I'm not telling you anything. You already know. It's time for Crusades Too Easy. Let's get it.